Okay. This is exciting. I have the house to myself this evening. My partner's gone down to Townsville to pick up his sons and to bring them back home up into Kuranda. So it's just me and baby Zenith. And luckily for me, I am so blessed this time around with the fourth baby that he actually sleeps, which means I can actually do this knowing that, you know, he's sleeping safely and soundly in bed, which is awesome. So just bear with me a second. I want to share this in a couple of groups that I manage. Where are we going? Wi-Fi is a little bit slow as per usual. Welcome to the rainforest. Okay, what am I doing? Share. If you're there, say hello. Hey Sophie, hey Jess, hey Numa or Manuela. I think that's how you pronounce your name. Tell me if I've got that correct. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna make like funny little music. So I'm really happy. I'm really like buzzing, and I feel inspired and really grounded actually since this new moon energy. Today I've been culling and cleaning. If anybody knows me, I hate housework. It's not me. I'm like the wild visionary creatrix. I am not the best domestic goddess like at all. So today I got my clean on and I was feeling like a really competent adult today. It was pretty funny. Anyway, I'll stop distracting myself. What am I doing? Okay. I just pop this in my inner circle. All right. It's really weird when you're like live streaming here and then you've got like a 2-second delay on the video on your laptop. It's pretty funny. So anyway, all right. Yes, I got perfect pronunciation. Hurrah! All right. So I'm going to leave this alone. Just check everything is on mute. I'm just going to invite you to take a deep breath with me. I know that I need to do it just to ground me into this space. So really tuning into your body, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the jaw, relaxing the tongue, closing your eyes. Deep breath, letting out some tones, some sighs, pulling in all the strings from the stories throughout the day and bringing your awareness and your energy into this present moment. And just as I say that, the rain starts, which is beautiful. So this may get a little bit glitchy. If it does, I'll just switch over to my mobile data. So I wanted to firstly come on this evening to say hello. I am back to work. I am feeling incredibly inspired. The birthing journey and giving birth to Zenith, which was literally like right in front of me, like a meter, was incredible. I still have yet to finish his birthing story because the birth in and of itself was incredible and like a really beautiful and gentle birth. I hope that rain is not too loud. But there's a huge backstory that needs to be woven in to speak to the potency of what the pregnancy was and the whole birthing journey and the big shadow journey that I embarked on with that and coming out the other side of it. So now being a mama of 4 biological children, of course my 2 bonus sons, which I love dearly, and just learning how to navigate that with 2 businesses. So my Wise Woman business and also the doTERRA essential oils, which kind of weave into that as well, and just trying to find my place in that in an inspired way that fills my cup up rather than burning the candle at both ends, you know, because I don't subscribe to the narrative of constantly being busy if it's draining you. Yeah. And it's taken me a while to really find my voice and to speak my truth in that, particularly being an entrepreneur and being in the online space and creating content and writing and, you know, dreaming and facilitating and all that stuff. So I don't want to perpetuate that narrative that you've always got to be busy. I would much rather be the person that takes a moment to pause and to create things that are deeply meaningful, which bridges me into what I want to talk about this evening, because I have had a few people inquiring about the little snippets that I've put out there about this new training that I will be releasing. So it will be starting next weekend, and that is on sacred ceremony. So this is the training to understand what it takes to not only facilitate a sacred ceremony, but to be able to tap in to the visionary planes of the ideas, so that you can start to listen to what's being called of you, the ideas that you have, and how to strategically map them so that, one, they make sense, and two, that they're actually going to provide value for the people in your community. And that is on a plethora of different themes. Yeah, so as a ceremonialist myself, I have been hired for blessing ceremonies. I have been hired for alternative weddings. I have been hired for, I guess, end of life or funeral settings, which are non-traditional but really speak to the sacredness of life, and anywhere in between. So what I'm doing with this training is, yes, you're going to get the how-to and the practical sense, so that you're confident, you've created your own map, you know how to write your own script. Like, I'm not giving you scripts that are just mine. I'm going to show you how to write your own, because in anything that I seek to do, and in my mentoring, in any of my programs and training, is I'm not here to recreate myself in another. I'm here to say, hey, this is stuff that I have learned along the way, and I really want to inspire you to be able to trust yourself, to be able to step into your own beauty and your own magic as a leader and a facilitator. And particularly with sacred ceremonies, there is a deficit within our Western social norms for ceremony. There is a deficit in connection. And when you have the ability to turn ideas into ways that people can gather together to provide deeper meaning, to connect with nature, to connect with the beauty and the gift of being alive, then it nourishes our spirit. It brings meaning and purpose to our lives, which helps us do better. It helps us to be healthier. It helps us to commit to more loving and inspiring relationships. It helps us to connect with other human beings on a very real way. And I facilitated end of life ceremonies with respects to people that have taken their own lives, which is a taboo, right? A lot of people are a bit scared to go down that journey. But there can be ceremonies and ways to connect people in which do speak to the shadow side of the human experience, so that people don't have to feel alone, or don't have to feel like they can't honor and acknowledge people's decisions. Even though we're not celebrating the decision in and of itself, we can still honor the person and the life in that, yeah? Even though there might be people that kind of disconnect from the status quo, particularly with marriages, for instance, you can start to facilitate and weave your own ceremonial union journeys which speak to what is meaningful for that couple and to bring value for them, so that it is a significant moment, it is a significant rite of passage. And that's another thing in our culture, is the sacred rites of passage for both men and women, and no matter how people identify, yeah, with respects to gender, is that you can map and create rites of passage. So coming of age ceremonies, menarche, leading young boys into manhood, anywhere in between. And the interesting thing about sacred ceremony, and even with rites of passage, is it doesn't need to be, say for instance, if it's a coming of age ceremony, it's not limited to a particular age bracket. You can guide people seasoned in their adulthood in these coming of age ceremonies, so that they're actually healing their own timeline. It's giving them the framework of writing their story in a more clearer way, that they're connected to their heart's truth. They're connected to what is sacred. And what is sacred is different for everybody. And it depends on what your spiritual beliefs are, what religious beliefs are, you know, different cultural ideologies and different cultural norms, and different beliefs in general. And that's one thing, as a ceremonialist, you will have a process of learning how to listen and ask important questions. Because when you step into this work, it's not about, like for me, when I create ceremonies, it's not about like, oh, I'm going to create this really awesome thing and it's just everything that I want it to be. To some degree, that's part of it, but mostly I listen to what is needed and how do I fill the gap. And the biggest thing that I've found with being a facilitator and really stepping into this role authentically is the art of deep listening and being present with your clients so that you're meeting their needs, but also any other participants. So if it is a fairly open ceremony, like a public ceremony, where you will have different people from all walks of life, you've got to think about how your ceremony is going to connect people, yeah? Because you will have different age brackets, different interests, different spiritual and religious beliefs, and you want to make sure that your ceremony is inclusive to that it's not offensive, that it really speaks to the sacredness of life that is all encompassing, so that when people are participating or experiencing it, it has this energy about it, that it actually amplifies the spiritual energy that takes people outside of the mundane and into the moment, which is sacred and holy, into the divine nature of presence, of being and showing up fully and sharing a breath and sharing an event and sharing a ritual, yeah? And in doing so, you're weaving everybody into this enriching experience, which they're all going to have different experiences from, but it's going to inspire something in them. It's going to make them connect with something potent and powerful in the moment, that they will leave that space feeling better for it, feeling more present, feeling more grounded, feeling more connected to whatever the ceremony is in relation to, and that they feel uplifted, that they feel a deeper sense of belonging, and that there is goodness and kindness and beauty in the world. And that's what I want to do with my training and showing you how to do that. I'm just reading a comment. So Sophie says, everything you create is deeply meaningful and transformative, Donna. You're such a powerful, wise woman. Yeah, I am. And I know some stuff, right? And I've come into this point of really wanting to bring that through with practical training. And sacred ceremony is something that applies to anybody. So if you do have a calling to facilitate ceremonies and rituals that are meaningful and deeply significant, and maybe you're like you want to, but you don't know how, or you feel like you don't have the confidence, or like, oh, you want to, but oh, I probably could never do that, and such does it better than me, or maybe you feel out of your depth, maybe you feel like you're not poetic enough, or you don't have the words, or you don't have the tools. I want to show you how to do all of that, so it's all there in a really easy and fun way. And the beautiful part is that once you learn the basics of it, you can literally turn any really fun or inspired idea into a sacred ceremony. My gift is I'm an ideas person. You speak with anyone that has worked with me, or I have coached or mentored, or in any way in that one-on-one setting, or even in a group training, is that I love to find creative solutions to problems. And I literally will listen to people and things just drop into my field, and then I can create ceremonies from it. And I have a way to look at things that are in my immediate environment, to draw upon nature to be able to create those tools, that you can create meaning out of almost anything that is available to you. And I want to show you how to step into that magical thinking, yeah? When you have the ability to see magic in everyday life, to step out of the mundane, to draw upon the significance of the moment and what is available to you, to learn how to trust the messages that flow through you, the ideas that pop into your heart, and to give voice to them, to give them a sense of place and space, then magic truly happens. And this is what I want to share with you. And yeah, totally. Sophie can attest to that. Sophie's one of my Wisdom Keeper initiates or graduates, and it's been an incredible journey of showing her how to come back into that trusting of the magic and the wisdom that is within. So if anyone has any questions at all with respects to the sacred ceremony, I was going to call it ceremonialist as like the title, but then I was like, I don't know if many people understand that language of it, but essentially that's the training, is to become a ceremonialist. And it's all the ins and outs of everything that you need to know to be able to create that. And it's also, I will throw in some magical teachings in there as well. So that is tuning in with the different seasons and Sabbats and the moon cycles and all that, and ways that you can create and perform really powerful rituals and ritual ceremonies as well, which will kind of amplify the intent of what it is that you want to create for the people that you're journeying with, and to be able to offer it in your community, and to be able to be compensated duly for that as well, in a way that comes from that heart space. And that's one thing that I love to do with my mentoring and, you know, business training and all that sort of stuff, is I'm really passionate about connecting with visionaries, or the mystical misfits, or the rebel entrepreneurs, or the people that have the wild, crazy, visionary, paradigm shifting ideas, and create different pathways of connection to be able to earn an income from that is from a really beautiful exchange, so that the people seeking your services are fulfilled and nourished, and that you are as well. So if this speaks to you, this is an online training. So it's not an in-person training, Jackie. What I've decided to do, and it's a little bit different to the other training that I've done. So this is where it gets into the practical side. So what I felt to do, I was totally going to do this as like a 4-hour, like live immersive workshop over the weekend, where, you know, we'd be working with the energy of that container, and I would be prompting your different worksheets and the ideas and really moving through that. And then I was like, okay, that might be a little bit ambitious for me right now because it's school holidays and I've got little children, and Zenith is 3 months old. So he's still exclusively breastfed and he's started to teeth. So I'm not at that level personally to be able to offer that service, which was the vision that I initially had. So the next creative solution to that was to open the sacred container. You'll have all of the work. I've already started to map this and create this, which is really powerful. And I usually don't work that way. I usually will create the idea and I'll sell it, and then it all comes through. So it's only a few trainings that I've done that have actually created the work beforehand, and it felt imperative to be able to do that for this one. So I'm opening up the sacred container for that on the Friday, which means you have access to all of the material. You get it for life. There is video training, audio training, worksheet style, where it's a PDF that you can print it out and fill it in, or you can just look at the prompts and journal them, or, you know, maybe even buy like a cheap exercise book or something so that you can map your ceremonial templates within that. There is also template ideas for that, different styles and stuff. And then on the Sunday, I'm going to open it up for a live Q&A, so that way, after you've had a moment to go through the coursework, you then have access to me to be able to fine tune any ideas that you have, or to, you know, open it up to maybe you've created a different script or an opening or a welcoming or something like that, and you want to fine tune, or you just unsure of how different things like elements for your ceremony weave together so that they're cohesive, and that when you're running them, that they flow smoothly. And then, you know, different things that you might need to think about as backup plans as well, because that's one thing that I want to be able to share with you is, you know, to be able to have those backup plans in case everything just goes to shit. And I've experienced that where it's like it's technical difficulties or things didn't show up, or, you know, you don't have particular things in place on the day, or people don't attend, or those types of things, like what to do to troubleshoot. And I want to be able to share that with you. So there's going to be a live Q&A. I'm also thinking, depending on where people are in the world, so obviously, you know, my audience is predominantly Australia, the USA and the UK and everywhere in between, but I will open it up to a second Q&A. Like, I'm totally happy to stay up, you know, if it's early hours of the morning for me to facilitate for that people in the Northern Hemisphere. I can do that if there is enough interest for me to be able to commit to that. I really want to show up for everybody so that you really have a solid map, and that you know where you're going and what you're doing, and that you really feel confident and inspired to create and facilitate your own sacred ceremonies. Then for the following week, I'm going to be open and available for any other follow-up stuff that you might have, any questions. If you feel that, you know, maybe I've missed something in my training, because, you know, hello, I've just had a baby. So if I've missed anything, then you can go, oh, hey, Donna, you know, can you speak to this? And I'll create a little training around that. I'm here to co-create and also to fill in the gaps, because I've got blind spots as well. And so sometimes, you know, if you've been doing something for a while, sometimes you can take things for granted, what you know, and like backtracking to where someone's starting out is, you know, you're trying to, like what I try to do is to backtrack and reverse engineer and get myself into that headspace and that mindset of what it was like when I first started doing this work many, many moons ago. And so sometimes I might miss a few things, and that's where you can help me fill in those gaps so that you've got what you need. And that's what I'm here to do, is to show up for you in a really powerful way and to provide that for you. So I'm going to pop the link in the comments below if anyone is interested. Like I said, it is a live training in the sense that you'll have that Q&A, which will be live. It will be via Zoom, so it will be video. It means that, you know, we get together and have that face-to-face in the digital sense contact, rather than just doing like a Facebook Live and typing, because, you know, some people don't type as fast as I can talk and before I'm on to the next thing. So I'm really mindful of that. There will be the week follow-up. If you're interested in this and you're like, next weekend's not going to work for me, I would encourage you to jump on this, because you'll still have the training, and I will open it up that, you know, you can ask me some questions here and there to help you fill those gaps as well. And so that way you don't have to miss out. I don't know if I'll offer it at this price again. I will relaunch this, but it's a beta test. So what beta mode means in the online entrepreneurial space is when you first launch a brand new program. It's like you're trialing it out and testing it out. So because it is in beta mode, it is at this price. So, and I've also offered a very generous payment plan as well over 3 months. So it's easy for you to commit to, and it's accessible as well. All of my trainings are, you know, even if you can't show up, if, you know, life happens, I always create my programs with that in mind. Like, we're human beings, and sometimes that we can commit to things and then, you know, shit hits the fan, or like life throws you a curveball. So I like factor that in mind. It's like, I've got your back, and that you always have access to this on the Wise Woman website, the Wisdom School. You get a student ID, and all the courses that you've purchased are all available in your student dashboard. So that way you can drop into them whenever you choose. So it means that you might like dive into this work and then, you know, facilitate a couple of ceremonies, and then maybe do something else for a while, and then you want to refresh or reactivate what you've already learned, or that, you know, that activated energy that comes when you do online programs, that you can jump back into it whenever you choose to. So I always create my programs with that in mind. So if you haven't worked with me before, I just wanted to share that that's a way that, I don't know, I like to get rid of people's excuses of why you can't do things. It's like, it really is all available to you there. It is easy. The price is super affordable as well. And it's one of those things that, you know, this is the type of work that is soul nourishing. It is spirit led. It is what people are yearning for. And a lot of the times they don't even know that they need that until they step into, you know, actually participating or going along to a sacred ceremony. And then they're like, whoa, they leave feeling that much more at peace or just connected to yourself as a facilitator and to the community that's around them, to life. They feel more beautiful about themselves. They have, you know, more connection to awe and wonder and to all of the goodness that is in life. Ceremony helps to allow people to step outside of the busyness and to just let all that go for a moment. And that is such a beautiful remedy for stress and anxiety and overwhelm, is to provide these sacred spaces to allow people to connect with themselves in a really deeply embodied way. And that these ceremonies that you provide don't have to be really intricate and shamanic and like next level. It can be simple and nourishing to the spirit in that simplicity as well. And I want to show you how to do that. It is totally needed. And it's one of those things that I feel that sacred ceremony in and of itself can be a little bit of a loaded term for some people, where they're like, oh, it feels too big. It feels like, you know, you have to have all of this stuff in place. And I want to encourage you, and through this training, is if you feel called to facilitate and to offer this work, then you have that medicine and that wisdom, and everything that you need is already within you, and that you have probably already walked a path and have acquired and earned you know, this wisdom from your lessons, from just simply living, that you can then create ceremony on and pass on that wisdom to other people. And the beautiful part is that, you know, the narrative and the belief that I subscribe to is that you can only take somebody as deeply as you have gone before. So you'll probably find that there's types of ceremonies that you're drawn to, and I want to encourage you to step into that work, particularly sacred unions and blessing ceremonies, or you know, for instance, Sophie and I kind of heartstormed on a way that she could offer a ceremony for a beautiful friend of hers, which was going on a reclaiming her health journey. Yeah, so if you do have people that are in palliative care, end of life ceremony, like the death doula, death midwifery, that side, it's so taboo, but it's needed. Blessing ceremonies, coming of age, menarche, you know, sacred rites of passage for moving into adulthood, marriage, divorce, which I have done, and that was a really beautiful ceremony that I led myself. Actually, I created a ceremony with my ex-husband as well, and our daughter together. So I created a really beautiful ceremony. So it was a conscious divorce there, but I also had a really intense, a bit more kind of shamanic journey with that, with my blood and the rings and the keys, and like next level epicness with that one. So really working on the soul contract and unbinding the vows as well, which is a big one. What else? Blessing ceremonies for entering into motherhood, but also baby blessings as well. So once baby has come earthside, or if there's been anything in between, so if there's been any loss from miscarriages or stillbirths, that there are ceremonies that you can create that speak to the heart, to create healing, to create closure, so needed in this world, so that you can move on in life. Yeah, naming ceremonies as well, like, oh my goodness, it's like everything from conception to the end of life, everything in between, you can create really beautiful and deeply meaningful ceremonies and rituals for. And I want to show you how with this training. I'm getting a little bit rambly now with that. I think I've spoken everything that I need to share with that. I am really excited about this. I'm really happy that I listened, and it was almost like, Donna, Okay, sometimes I speak to myself in third person, right? But it's like this, that's like spirit speaking to myself. It's like, Donna, should have done this ages ago. Like, what took you so long? And I think for me, it's like, since giving birth to Zenith and the journey of that and just not doing so much, and that window of postpartum, which is so sacred, which allows me to bring in some really powerful medicine to map it and to create it, because I allowed myself the opportunity to just not do so much. You know, part of me is like, I like to create. I have this vortex energy that's like, and sometimes people around me get a little bit dizzy because I create so much and I'm always doing, but that's just who I am as a creatrix. It's the energy that works with me and it's totally activating. It doesn't drain me, but I really made sure that I allowed myself to soften and to deepen in, because it was my fourth birth and third free birth. So just allowing that stillness. And because I allowed that stillness, I could drop in for what was really needed, not only of myself to be able to offer as a facilitator and an educator, but it was like I was like connecting and conversing with spirit, you know, with the divine intelligence, with God, whatever you want to call it, with that higher intelligence, my wise woman self. And it was like, what's needed now for the collective, that you didn't need to have any sort of spiritual understanding to be able to do. How can I be of service in that way to bridge that gap? Because everybody needs these experiences because of how they nourish the soul, how they nourish the being, how they allow us to connect with what is important, what is significant, what is meaningful. And sacred ceremonies help to remind us. And they now more than ever, through the busyness of life and, you know, technology and everything speaking, screaming at you loudly, we need those moments to connect with what is meaningful, so that our life is imbued with meaning and that we connect with other people in a meaningful way. And that way, the ripple effect, as I always talk about, is one that comes from a really beautiful space that nourishes the soul of everyone. So I am sending you so much love and many blessings. If you have any more questions or you feel like I haven't, if I haven't laid it all down clear enough, then send me a message. If you're a little bit curious, if you're like, oh, I still don't know if it's for me, have a chat to me. I would really like to explore that with you. I don't ever pressure people to do my programs. I don't ever pressure people to work with me. It's only if it's a soul-inspired yes. If you're like, holy shit, I need this work, I need to learn how to do this, then hey, I'm here to help you do that. I've got this really awesome training to be able to do it. So I hope you have a beautiful, Saturday evening. I hope the new moon has treated you kindly. And if you're feeling in a bit of a funk, I encourage you to cleanse your space, cleanse your house, plant some seeds of what it is that you want to grow, what's deeply nourishing and inspiring for you in all areas of your life, and to focus your awareness on that, on the seeds that you are growing. Mwah! See ya.